So anyway, do you want to sit down? Or
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to fill you in
Okay, sorry.
with what they're doing to me right now.
What?
Johnny's
Oh,
team.
okay. What's going on? I didn't even... So you sent me that screen grab.
Okay, because,
But it looked like from the screen, or whatever. Copy
apparently the attorney that Johnny's working with was like threatening if I didn't get back to him that I'd have to literally. So I'm like, all right.
What did he say?
That, because I said when he first approached me, I said, no, I said, I really don't know anything about this. I mean, that's not something Amber and I ever talked about as far as abuse goes. I wasn't there until, that summer when I was helping her put things together. And I know for a fact I was in Africa during that time. Well, he has me on file, on photograph, going into the building every single day apparently. And
so it wasn't when you were in Africa?
He looked, he's like, well, then he thought I was totally conspiring with you, and I literally took it that I was like this lying person, and he was going to go ahead and subpoena me.
But so how did that information get to you?
He directly contacted me. He called me on the phone, and then I just didn't pick up. And then the next night, he literally texted me. And so that's when I said, I just kind of pled like, I don't know anything, that wasn't a part of their life that I was exposed to or anything along those lines. I said I knew that it was a difficult relationship at best. But I was peripheral. And so anyway, he was just like, and I said, and I know that summer was the summer that I was planning this big trip to go to Africa. So I wasn't even there that summer. And in my mind, I wasn't. It's been 4 years. So I didn't know anything. And then I got a text from him at like 3 o'clock in the morning, basically calling me a liar and literally saying, well, then you are just part of Amber's conspiratorial group. I mean, this guy is the biggest asshole under the sun. I don't know how you're dealing with this because I've been shaken like for days on this. So he basically was like, he just kept being really slanderous. I said, I'm sorry, I don't know Amber to be that person at all. And I believe her. And then he's like, well, you have to sit there and I need to have a conversation with you on the phone. And if not, we will subpoena you and you will be deposed. I'm like, are they kidding me?
So he said you will be deposed if you don't have a conversation.
Without question. So I'm going to paraphrase what they said after the conversation. It was almost 2.5 hours. He was the biggest ass I've ever encountered in my life. But what they have got, they are, according to him, they needed me to sign a declaration that said that, I said, he accused me of like, okay, well, had you been with Elon, James Franco, I'm sure you've got, I said, I know nothing about that. And I said, and honestly, to my knowledge, the first I heard about Elon was in August. And I said, and Amber was just really, really sweet, going, you know what? I just went, and I know nothing about that. Well, there's a photograph of you taking some flowers up to Penthouse 3. I kid you not. I don't know what you're doing with it, how you're dealing with this. And I said, well, but that wouldn't have been unusual. I would have gone through and they said, oh wait, are you going to be going up there? And he's like, well, did you know that they were from Elon? I said, I would have no idea who they were from. I'm not going to read somebody's envelope. And so he tried to get that information from me. And it was being honest. I didn't know anything. And then this is just so, Amber, you have no idea. I absolutely adore you. You know that. And it's like, I've sat there and like these guys, he's the biggest asshole under the sun. So he again was like, bottom line, they have Kate under deposition. He's like, do you know she's going through PTSD? That's the only funny thing. Which I don't know if he was like. And I was like, well, she's like, you've heard Amber yell at her. I said, listen, the only time I have ever, because he's like, I know for a fact. I said, the only time I've ever heard Amber yell at Kate in my entire life was one time during the move. And I said, and honestly, she fucked it up. And I said, there's just no way, other than that, I know nothing about that. And she's like, well, we have it on record that she's called you crying. And that, remember I told you, you've got to get rid of it. You've got to get rid of Kate because she's calling me drunk. And I said, yeah. I go, but Kate's the wrong person. Kate consistently screwed things up all the time. She was a mess. And I didn't say that she was drunk when he was calling me because I didn't want to give him more information on this. And then he was talking about like when the place went on the market, and I guess they interviewed Kevin too, and they've got Kevin on. Don't do this, because I'm. Okay, so there was something about pink slips, and he was describing it as a pink slip from hell, horror house. I mean, he's got a way with flourishing words, like I said, the biggest asshole. And I said those were things that were earmarked. I said there were clearly things that were not Johnny's, that were not pink marked. And I'm under the impression that obviously there was an agreement that everything from that apartment was agreed upon that Amber would get. So there's no issue with that. Then and he was trying to get me to say this, and I didn't know anything about this either, but your mother coming in and at some point in front of Kevin Dees, I'm just saying this so you know, and screaming about like she's going to take him for everything he's worth or something like that. And I said,
wait, Mom?
Your mother.
My mom's never screamed at him.
No, I know that. That's what I'm saying. I said, I've only met Amber's mother a few times. I go, that seems so not to her character. I go, and if you're asking me if I witnessed it, I swear to God, I did not. So, but these are like the stupid things that are like coming like consistently. And then it was like, well, did have you talked to Rocky? They're apparently planning to subpoena Rocky and which I'm sure you're aware of, for perjury.
That you can't subpoena someone for perjury.
I know.
You subpoena someone as a part of a legal process.
Well, there you go.
What this is it's actually manipulating and coercing people through threats.
Manipulating it.
Without people being savvy about the law, they are threatening people to coerce statements out of people. Yes. And people are actually able to be tricked if you don't know anything about.
Right. I get that. And he's going on about, well, do you know about Tasya? And I said, I didn't know any of that. And so then he's like, well, then now you know about it. I'm like, well, okay, great.
He just told you.
He just told me. No, but I know. But that's what I'm saying.
Nothing he says, it's all manipulation.
I know it is. So basically,
I mean, this guy has literally said, they have me on camera, which, funny, we've never seen that footage. We've seen me stand in an elevator, but they literally made up this thing about Whitney practicing hitting me in the hallway, and they have it on camera. Oh yeah, like that's where the bruises came from. I'm like, oh yeah, well, where is that footage? Like he just literally, it's just made up. It's literally just made up.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, I have not slept for nights because I just didn't even know how to tell you that this has now been brought up, and I have to go ahead and tell you about all this information. So he basically said if I didn't sign a declaration, but it doesn't state anything from you at all. It just, he's like, was I aware of Tasya? And I said, well, no, I'm not, but I told you about it the other day. So that's in there. If I didn't, I was going to be deposed, and he's like, and it was going to be $15,000 to $20,000. So I'm telling you now because I need you to know that, and I need your attorneys to then go ahead and get me to do a declaration too and question me so that I can say something in your favor. Because he's not giving me any, like, I would like explain things. Like he's like, well, you were up there that. I said, yeah, but that didn't mean I was up with Amber going over this huge plot. I go, I'm with Amber like 5, 10, 15 minutes, half an hour at most, and I'm there to work. And so I don't know, any of this. And it was like, well, you need a yes or no. Then you're not familiar with how the court system works. I'm like, no, I've never been in a court ever. So I was literally forced into signing a declaration that, again, does not say, it's the most vanilla thing imaginable. But I can't afford $20,000 because I don't even know what's going on with Elon right now. But I need your attorneys to sit there and work out a declaration so that I'm in your favor, so it nulls anything out. Because I didn't see, because he's like, well, did you see her absolutely beaten up? And he was using the analogy of, well, if my arm was ripped off. And I'm like, and I said, she was visibly upset the entire time. And I said, it came from an absolutely true place. Well, true place, like, and then he would go ahead and just say some complete other fabrication. Like, I felt like my hands are completely tied and there was nothing I could say to resurrect the situation. And I just was like doing your damnedest. And so he did the super declaration thing, and I just kept expunging things. And then he just wouldn't do anything else. So it's really vanilla, and I will show it to you as much as I possibly can, but I want your attorneys to call me and literally let me do a declaration for you, because I don't know what else to do. I am like literally heartbroken about this, because I can't sit there, because we never had, I didn't know any of this knowledge beforehand. I mean, it was literally afterwards. You always hid it from me.
It's not your fault you didn't know. I hid it from everyone. That's
I know.
what people do. But after the divorce, right immediately after that incident, my eye was... Did you see my face?
I only saw your face when it was swollen and it was red, but I didn't see any. At that point, there was nothing there, and I said, I don't recall it. I go, I did not. If you're asking, because he's like, I'm not asking you. I'm saying, he was telling me that it wasn't the phone that was thrown at you, that you had said that Johnny had physically beaten you up afterwards, and I said, again, I did not spend any time with you one-on-one where I even knew, like, oh wait, if I knew what was going on, I would have literally looked at you more intensely, and I didn't. I said you were just kind of a hot mess at that time and devastated. But I didn't see you at that point where, he was like, she would have been all black and blue. Did you see any black and blue? No, I didn't see you black and blue, but she was all swollen and red, and she had been crying. So that is what we are at.
How many days after the...
He said it was like... See, and again, it's 4 years ago, so I couldn't even place it. I honestly did think at that time I was in Africa, and I thought I met you after that. He's got the dates. I don't even know the dates, but he threw it. He's like, you were there on like the 20... And I'm paraphrasing because I don't know, like the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and then you've got on the 28th, and then there was some event in December he wanted me to give you, and I said, I don't know anything about that at all. So I go, please. He's like, well, we have you up there on the 15th. And I said, but I might not have even seen Amber. I mean, very seldom did I'd see Amber, but I never saw Johnny. And here's the beauty of it. Well, Johnny happens to think you're a really nice person, and he doesn't want to depose you, but, if it comes to that, he will. And I'm like, well, then how nice of a guy is he, And anyway, I just...
After I filed for divorce, after I filed for the restraining order, you were around a lot around that time.
I was around.
I was wondering if you are you saying that you didn't know what was going on?
No, I knew. I said I knew what was going on. He's like, he wanted to know, did I tell you immediately? And I said, I can't recall that, because I can't recall that I saw you directly after that incident happened. He's got me in an elevator, and that's it. And I don't know, if this was 3 years ago, I'd have much more clarity as far as a time of reference. You've been living this whole nightmare for 4 years straight. I don't have my dates clear at all. And that's...
But after that, I filed for the restraining order, Are you saying that you knew why I filed for restraining order? I thought it was pretty talked about.
He didn't talk about the restraining order. He never mentioned that. All he mentioned was, did you ever talk to me about being abused?
After?
Before.
Okay.
And then also after.
So he specifically said before and after.
He was more interested in before.
Well, of course.
Right. And then he also asked, did I ever talk about it with Io or Rocky? And I said, no. I go, other than I would always ask her, well, how's she doing? I go, but that was our conversation. I never, I seldom didn't really ever get into conversations with Rocky or Io other than, just superficial, like, what are you up to, and that kind of a thing. So I was being really honest because I didn't know, I don't want to sit there and be perjured, and I don't have a good time frame, so I didn't know when. I said, I know I talked about it with Amber, but if you're telling me when did I talk about it with Amber, I honestly don't recall. If you're asking me, did I talk about it on this 23rd or 24th, I go, my guess is probably, but I'm being honest, I don't recall because it's been 4 years and I can't put a date. He's like, well, then we'll go ahead and we'll sit there and depose you. I said, you can sit there and depose me now after all of this. I go, but I'm not going to be able to tell you anything else in all honesty. I'm like, but I go, I've never had anything but an amazing relationship with her. So
With me?
With you. And I said, so, I go, did I ever get into an argument? And he's like, well, how was your relationship with Johnny? I said, it was fine. It was absolutely pleasant. I go, but I didn't really have any interaction with Johnny at all. I go, I've known Amber for 8 years. So,
Do you, have you ever seen me be, when you were talking about Kate earlier, do you think I was verbally abusive to her?
No. I literally said no, and this is what
because I remember you being the strongest advocate for
Yeah.
me firing her.
That's what I'm saying. So but this guy doesn't want that information, and I told him that too. I said, literally, the only time I ever heard her raise her voice was that phone call, because Kate had brought it up. So that's why it was brought up, because he's like, well, you were visibly aware. I said, the only time I was when there was a move. Kate screwed it up. You've got to and he's like, and then he went on, and he's like, well, Kate would call you up. And I said, yes. I go, she was not suited to the job, and she screwed up a lot. I go, she should never have been working with Amber. And that's something I literally said. He's just wanting, because apparently Kate has some sort of vendetta, not shockingly, to go against you. So once again, I need your attorneys then to go ahead and go, okay, explain the Kate relationship with that. Because I will have your back 1,000 times till Sunday.
I am only interested in the truth. I'm not interested in manipulating anyone or anything. I just want to be clear that you didn't see me be physically or verbally abusive with Kate.
No, the only time, and again, she had brought it.
But do you think I was verbally abusive to her?
No, I said you were yelling on the phone because everybody had heard about it. I told you about that incident.
And just like an incident?
Yeah, just that one incident. I said, never, ever have I heard anything. And then he said, well, would you be shocked to find out that she's got PTSD and she's going to meetings for it? And I'm like, I go, in one hand, I would, and in the other hand, I wouldn't, because she's completely off the rails. So, but of course, he doesn't take any of that because he's doing that. And apparently, I don't know if Kevin Dees is apparently not a nice guy. He's the realtor that was showing the place. You didn't even really meet him, I don't think. I think you had an altercation with him with the draperies, remember?
Altercation.
It was an argument because the draperies were taken and he's the one that was trying to get the draperies back for the person that bought it.
Oh, but I didn't even talk to him.
Oh, then I have no idea, but he's the other one that's saying all of this other crap. So that's the only stuff that I know that the attorney was telling me.
And then after, when you were around, after my restraining order, because from what I remember we spent a lot of time. We were putting
your office back together. The dressing room was fine, and we were hanging stuff and putting things back in the living room to make it more back like a home.
I'm just trying to think.
And that's all. I don't know when that was, though. That's the problem. I have no recollection. I honestly thought it was July at some point, but I don't know. I wish I was actually asked this 3 years ago.
Have you looked through your...
I don't have anything. My phone's been changed twice, and I've got a new notebook. So I have nowhere to trace anything.
And you didn't back up?
No. The only thing I backed up were photographs from work.